there is a carb that is more dangerous than sugar that you eat every day. Every doctor says that sugar is poison and the most dangerous carbohydrate. But this carbohydrate is more dangerous than sugar, about which no one warns us. And in today's world, it is present in most food and is making our health hollow from within. Do you know who this silent killer is? Well, this carb is present in your branded breakfast cereals, is present in branded protein and energy bars, is present in Maggi and other noodles, is present in so-called healthy biscuits and even in ready-made soups like this, so-called energy drinks like this, supplements, sugar-free products, and even in ice creams. It is even present in the baby formula given to children where it shouldn't even exist. And the reason is that while simple table sugar, which we call the poison, can raise your blood sugar level, these hidden carbohydrates can cause an even greater increase, more than double the effect of sugar. This carb is called maltodextrin, and companies use healthy sounding marketable names such as corn starch, corn syrup, rice starch, or wheat starch. Now, why is this ingredient particularly problematic? Well, think about it. Why do we call poison to simple sugar? Because as soon as it is consumed, it spikes our blood sugar levels and releases insulin, which then starts storing sugar and other nutrients as fat, and that's why sugar is directly linked to weight gain and obesity. On top of that, there are empty calories. Sugar has zero nutrition and it's also addictive, meaning that you will keep eating more and you will keep gaining weight, but you are not getting any nutrition. Everything is just accumulating in the form of fat, which in the future will create diabetes, high cholesterol, high BP, chronic inflammation, and hundreds of other problems. Now, not just table sugar, but maltodextrin also causes these problems, and that too is twice as much as sugar. Maltodextrin's glycemic index is 125, while table sugars is 60 to 65. Meaning almost double, meaning it makes your blood sugar spike even faster and makes you gain weight. And yes, it's even more addictive. You must be aware that generally processed things are worse than natural things. Well, consider this maltodextrin as a processed version of a bad thing, sugar. Anyway, let's talk about the main reason why maltodextrin is more dangerous than sugar. And this is a very interesting fact which mostly no one tells. Our body is made up of 70 trillion cells, but only 30 trillion of them are human cells. So, who do the remaining 40 trillion cells belong to? Well, these are all bacterial cells that live in our body and also run the important processes of our body. Meaning, technically, we are more bacteria than humans, and our body is a home, an ecosystem of bacteria. And this is a fact. Now, don't be scared of the name bacteria. There are two types of bacteria. One is good bacteria and the other is bad bacteria. Both of these are mostly found in our stomachs and intestines. And no matter how much we live or how soon we die, they are directly responsible for that. The functioning of every organ in the body, your blood pressure, cholesterol, how much nutrition will be absorbed in your body, your immune system, these bacteria affect everything, even our mood. And that's why the stomach is also called the second brain. And the ratio of these bacteria is the most important. If for some reason the amount of bad bacteria increases in the body and the amount of good bacteria decreases, then we will soon catch 100 diseases and we can even die. In fact, at the time of COVID-19, which patients would die and which would survive were only known based on gut bacteria. Now, maltodextrin increases the amount of bad bacteria in our body and reduces the amount of good bacteria. I will tell you how in a while. But before that, because many people are still not taking gut bacteria seriously, I will tell you about a very interesting experiment with this, in which the gut bacteria of two twin sisters were put in mice and experimented with. In this experiment, there were two twin sisters, but one of them was obese and the other was very slim. So what did the researchers do? The gut bacteria of both of their bodies were extracted and transferred to two separate mice individually, and then kept those mice under observation for a few weeks. Now, as time passes, you will not believe what changes would have come to those mice with a simple bacterial transfer. Just within this short time, the mice who got slim girls' bacteria became slim, and the mice who got obese girls' gut bacteria got fat, even though their diet was kept the same. This means only bacteria got changed and those mice's whole bodies got transformed. Gut bacteria are so important. And what does maltodextrin do? Well, whatever bad bacteria we have in our stomach, like Salmonella, E. coli, etc., it becomes their food. To metabolize it, the required enzymes are only found in pathogenic bacteria, not in your natural good gut bacteria. Because of this, these bad bacteria start multiplying rapidly. You must have heard your mother say, don't eat tandoori roti, don't eat pav. They stick to your stomach. Well, maltodextrin sticks. When it is wet, it becomes very thick and sticky, which makes a sticky layer on your intestine walls, as you can see in this study, which later becomes a colony of bad bacteria. By simply consuming the wrong things, we are giving the key of our second brain, our stomach, to the enemies of the body. Now let's talk about the second most dangerous carbohydrate, which is more dangerous than regular sugar. And quite frankly speaking, you will not believe that this can also be a silent killer because no one talks about it. We have been told that it is good for our health. The carbohydrate I am talking about is fructose. Yes, fructose is found in fruits. Shocked, right? Every doctor, every mother, and every nutritionist says that fruits are good for health. This is also true, but with a very big catch. Fruits have fructose. Any doctor or nutritionist will say that in any processed food, high fructose corn syrup is present. Stay away from it. Nutritionists consider this high fructose corn syrup as dangerous as maltodextrin. But then see the irony. Every doctor, on the other hand, says to eat as many fruits as possible. Why this hypocrisy? In high fructose corn syrup, as the name says, there is fructose in a high amount. And do you know how much this high amount is? Only 52 to 55%, and the rest is 45 to 45% glucose. In our favorite fruits, on the other hand, such as apples, mangoes, grapes, watermelons, pears, etc., this ratio goes from 65% to 85%. That is almost double. Still, fruits are called healthy. Okay, now to increase the duplicity, let me tell you another strange fact. The glycemic index of fructose is only 15, while the glucose index is 100. That is, glucose makes your blood sugar spike rapidly, not fructose. Now, foods with a high glycemic index, as we learned from the example of maltodextrin, are not healthy and their consumption should be kept very limited. So, what is the problem with fructose and high fructose corn syrup? These are foods with a low glycemic index, right? Now see, the thing is, fructose is the most misunderstood sugar so far. And to remove this duplicity, we have to understand at a fundamental level that number one, why is there a problem with fructose sugar? Number two, are fructose unhealthy too? Number three, why is glucose, whose glycemic index is 6 to 7 times higher than that, paradoxically healthier than fructose? So the most fundamental problem with fructose is that our body cannot metabolize it in the same way. That is, it cannot digest it the way glucose does. Let me explain. For the body, glucose has always been the primary source of energy, and fructose is the secondary source. Like a hybrid car, it can use one type of fuel very efficiently and give good mileage, but it cannot use the other type of fuel so efficiently. Similarly, for thousands of years, fruits have never been our main source of diet. Very rarely humans used to eat high fructose fruit like apples, mangoes, pears, etc. if they were lucky. Otherwise, our diet was mostly rich in glucose and protein. Because of this and because of the evolution of millions of years, our body was made to metabolize and use glucose efficiently. Now, why is fructose more dangerous than glucose? When we consume glucose, it does spike blood sugar, but then the body releases insulin, which starts filling these glucose molecules into our cells through the cell surface transporter GLUT4. Insulin is the primary hormone that regulates how much glucose will be converted into fat and how much will be converted into energy, which will be used by our cells for their functioning. But in the case of fructose, insulin doesn't regulate it. That's why through GLUT5 transporters, it starts circulating in the cells without any regulations, where an enzyme fructokinase converts it into fat and stores it. And this is problem number one. The second bigger problem is that fructose is such a carbohydrate that no matter how much you eat, you will never feel satisfied. And this is also the reason why companies use high fructose corn syrup so much over any other sugar. See, the mechanism is very simple. Fructose increases the ghrelin hormone in the body, which regulates hunger and gives us a signal of hunger. And it blocks leptin, which sends a signal to make us feel satisfied. As a result, you keep eating uncontrollably, but your hunger never goes away. And not to forget, all of this is stored as fat. As seen, this research has established a clear link between an increasing fructose consumption and the obesity epidemic. And that is why fructose can be a sweet poison. And finally, high fructose, even though it is not regulated by insulin, quite weirdly cause insulin sensitivity, which causes diseases like diabetes. According to researchers, in the long term, fructose also increases bad cholesterol in the body, which in the future can cause heart diseases. So now you might be wondering, what does all this mean? Should we stop eating fruits? Well, based on what we learned today, let's understand this information in a macro context. See, after understanding 60 plus studies on fructose, a meta-analysis was done in which it was found that fructose less than 50 grams does not create any long-term problems in the body. But if it exceeds that, then problems like fat deposition and insulin sensitivity starts coming. If we talk about fruits, then according to the quantity of fruits compared to today's modern processed foods, fructose is quite limited. Like an apple, a bowl of grapes in a pear, 12 grams on average. So that means you can eat 4 to 5 portions, which will still be more than normal as compared to what people eat daily. But in fruits, along with fructose, you get fibers, vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals which reduce inflammation and stress in your body. So fruits are nutrition packed, not empty calories. But where does the main problem comes from? In processed foods, high fructose corn syrup is used in an addictive way. In a 600 ml Coke, for example, there are 60 grams of sugar and 30 grams of fructose. If I visualize this, then there are 16 spoons of sugar, 8 spoons of fructose and purely empty calories, meaning zero nutrition. So because of the addictive nature of fructose, we keep drinking it and these are empty calories. So no nutrition, only sugars. Now this is just one example I gave. Countless processed foods also have high fructose corn syrup, invert sugar, cane sugar, sucrose, etc. All of these are mostly the same. Only the marketing gimmicks are there, because in these fructose concentration is approximately 50%, but only 3 or 4% or more, nothing much changes. Only the manufacturing process changes and a new name is given. In these, invert sugar, cane sugar is used more in Indian products, in which the fructose concentration is 50%, which is more than some type of high fructose corn syrup like HFCS 42, which is used in countries like the US in ice creams, biscuits, etc. Processed foods use the addictive nature of fructose, so you can consume it more quantity, and as a result, weight gain starts happening. And that is why researchers are linking fructose increases to obesity. Remember, fructose alone is not only making you gain weight, its appetite increasing addictive nature plus the tasty formula of processed foods is also making you gain fat. They are creating internal malfunctions which can have long-term consequences. And that is why this awareness is important, so that we don't get trapped in this cycle of processed foods. So yeah, next time whenever you consume processed foods, keep track of these two dangerous sugars, maltodextrin and high fructose content. See, in limited amounts and for a short period, it won't destroy your health, but it's like a slow poison that will slowly damage your health. And that is why you have to limit it habitually as a habit in your diet and lifestyle. Consciousness and awareness will be the first step towards this positive change. So if you learned anything new from this video, do share it with your friends and family members so that they can also make healthy choices. And yeah, friends, before you leave, if you want to see more interesting and knowledgeable videos, click on any of these thumbnails. Take care and stay fit.